where the last mile internet is. Does it exist in the ether? Does it exist on the light poles? What does last mile internet mean? Well, let me help you understand a little bit more about what the last mile is and why it's so important. So, the last mile is actually how we, the consumer, or you, the business, get your internet connection. The internet is not in the cloud. The internet is physical. The internet is a cable. The internet is fixed wireless. The internet is mobile. But it has to come from somewhere. Where is that somewhere? Well, that somewhere is a data center. And that data center basically connects to subsea cables. And that is a location, or let's call it an A, the actual letter A location. And your home or your business is the Z location. Z is because I'm Canadian. How it gets there, though, that's important. Typically, you're dealing with carriers, legacy carriers. I shouldn't say legacy. You're dealing with carriers who do upgrade infrastructure, but do not upgrade their last mile infrastructure. And the last mile is the most important part of the internet, in my opinion, because it's where the most breaks and the most amount of problems happen. Check out this video. You'll see here. These are actual, underground manhole explosions, stuff catching fire, flooding. As you can see, this is not a one-off, happens once in a while. This happens hundreds of times around the country, hundreds of times. So the last mile is really the most susceptible to outages and downtime. And as my good friend David Theodore says, the last mile is where the internet goes to die. And it's a fact because so much is riding on it. Well, there is a solution, always a solution. There's always a fix for this. Carriers need to upgrade the last mile. Well, how do they do that? Well, instead of spending money on the data center, they've spent a lot. It's great. It's amazing. But, let's get some different ways we can get internet into our homes or businesses. Let's use alternative methods like new technologies or old technologies that are super advanced these days, such as fixed wireless fiber. It's super important. And remember, the last mile is where the internet goes to die. It's just a fact of life. I mean, there's so many moving components here with the last mile that it's bound to have problems. It's only normal. It's natural. I mean, anyone that sells or buys an internet connection that's told they have 100% uptime, come on, people. You got to eat your Wheaties in the morning to know that's not true. Anyway, who is even responsible for fixing the last mile underground if something happens? Well, that's where it can get convoluted. And honestly, the internet is not even considered a public utility. So you're going to have your electricity fixed first. You're going to have your plumbing fixed first, et cetera, et cetera. And the last thing that's going to get fixed is the internet, which to me is mind-boggling because the internet is what's controlling our, electrical grid, our water systems, our purification systems, our waste treatment facilities. Without the internet, those places are offline and siloed. That's a whole other topic of discussion. But, think about that. Just think about that. We are the most susceptible in this country with the last mile internet. It's a problem, and there's obviously a solution. That's why we're talking about it. Somehow I put in events. Do events need dedicated internet access? Absolutely, events need dedicated internet access. I know an individual who did an event recently, and they did a heat mapping of the cellular network of LTE and 5G, which when it works is phenomenal. But when you saturate a network and you have, thousands of people connecting to one or two nodes, it doesn't work so good. And you need to bring in, you guessed it, temporary dedicated internet access for events, 1 day, 2 days, a week, 10 days, 3 months, 8 months. 5 years for an event. Who knows? But the common trait here is these events all need high reliability. Sometimes they need massive amounts of bandwidth, but most of the time they need high reliability, and can get away with a gigabit or 2 gigabits of dedicated internet access for their shows. And that's because LTE and 5G, as amazing as it is, has its limitations, and will get bottlenecked when you throw too many people onto 1 or 2 nodes. Nodes are cell towers or cell sites. So the takeaway from this is, remember, the last mile is where the internet goes to die. And ask your client, ask yourself, am I doing the best I can to reduce the risk or an exposure for a business by giving them a totally path-averse connection? Enter in, open the door, fixed wireless fiber, a totally path-averse connection to that fiber optic. As you can see from these photos here and videos, fiber is great, but it comes in from the basement always. It's never going to come in from anywhere else. Fixed wireless fiber is a great solution, and to augment the fiber, if fiber is not available, fixed wireless fiber is a primary. It's tried, tested, and proven. And just as you think I'm done, I will leave you with this note. Over $1 trillion is transmitted over fixed wireless every day in the American finance institutions. Why? Because fixed wireless fiber is actually faster and has lower latency than fiber optic itself. So that's all I got for you today, folks.